On today's episode, Ford makes a surprising new move that shocks the entire EV industry. Giga Shanghai shuts down its Model 3 production lines for mysterious upgrades, and Model Ys have been shipping with Tesla's new hardware 4 FSD computers. In a truly monumental turn of events, automaking giant Ford Motors has announced that they will be adopting Tesla's proprietary charging connector, the North American Charging Standard, or NACS. In a Twitter Spaces event held on May 25th, Ford CEO Jim Farley joined Tesla CEO Elon Musk to outline the plan for total adoption of the NACS into the Ford fleet of electric vehicles, a surprising announcement that has the potential to turn the entire industry on its head. According to Farley, the plan is to begin providing Ford electric vehicle owners with adapters in early 2024. These adapters will allow the CCS port-equipped Ford vehicles to access every Tesla charging station, not just the ones Tesla is converting for public use. Then, by early 2025, Ford says that they will start building their vehicles with the NACS ports as standard, completing their transformation and giving Ford owners unlimited access to Tesla's massive North American charging network across the US and Canada. Farley laid it out plainly during the Spaces event, saying Ford owners will have unprecedented access to the largest network of fast chargers in the US and Canada, with 12,000 plus Tesla superchargers. Widespread access to fast charging is absolutely vital to our growth as an EV brand. On Tesla's side of the deal, they are reportedly going to be supplying Ford with those adapters, and then of course the parts for the ports themselves. But they'll also be providing Ford with access to their mobile app API, the code used to operate the Tesla app that owners use to find nearby charge stations. That's some pretty significant support, and it's not hard to see why Tesla is going all in here. Tesla has put a lot of work into their charging technology, rightfully so. Their whole business relies on the availability of charging stations, and no one was stepping up to build those before Tesla decided to do it themselves. They even renamed their charging port design to the North American Charging Standard in an effort to get it accepted as such in 2022. That particular campaign began when a smaller electric company called Aptera decided to adopt Tesla's charging port for its solar-powered vehicles. Aptera actually started a petition to get the US Congress to adopt the NACS over the clunky CCS connector type. And it's pretty obvious that the NACS is the best option here. For starters, Tesla has been so successful in North America that their NACS-equipped vehicles outnumber CCS standard vehicles by almost 2-to-1. And while that shouldn't necessarily be the reason to make the switch, the NACS is also about half the size as the bulkier CCS charging head and way more powerful. These are great arguments for switching to Tesla's system, but to sweeten the deal, Tesla has released the specifications of their connector in an effort to encourage more manufacturers to adopt their design, and it seems like it worked with Ford at least. It's pretty easy to see what Ford gets out of this deal. Like a lot of the older automotive companies, Ford was very slow to adopt the electric car, which is ironic considering Henry Ford invented an electric car himself back in 1914. But now that it's pretty clear that the world can't procrastinate on the fossil fuel problem anymore, most companies are spending a lot of money trying to develop their own proprietary tech. Ford's answer to this problem up until now has been similar. They developed their F-150 Lightning and the Mustang Mach-E on their own, but none of the big companies had much thought to building the charging stations they'd need to replace the system of gas stations that actually make private car ownership a possibility in the first place. And this is probably the smartest decision any company in Ford's position could make. Tesla and the government have spent a lot of money setting up these big charging stations. Tesla has done the work of setting up the infrastructure. All Ford has to do is buy in, and we're sure that as far as Tesla is concerned, whatever Ford is paying isn't the most important part of this deal. Ford is a giant, one of the only major American automotive companies left from the Industrial Revolution. To have them take on Tesla as a partner is a huge signal to the other companies that if they don't do the same or develop something better, they are going to get left behind. And that's the biggest implication of this deal. Ford signing on to use the NACS is what will likely get the ball rolling on Tesla's charging tech becoming the actual North American standard. It's hard to think that other major companies won't be lining up to make a similar deal after this, which leaves the governments of North America stuck with supporting Tesla's charge station infrastructure. So if it wasn't already abundantly clear, this is a huge win for Tesla. Something is happening in China, or rather something isn't happening in China. Giga Shanghai has stopped production of their Model 3 vehicles. Drone operator Wuhua reported that the activity in the Chinese Gigafactory's Phase 1 and 2 production areas had significantly decreased, although it looks like Phase 2, where the Model Y is built, is still seeing some work. For those wondering, Wuhua has been reporting on Giga Shanghai since the facility opened, so he would certainly be able to tell if production was decreasing. Now, this didn't exactly come out of nowhere. Reporting from Bloomberg back in February showed that Tesla China was preparing to halt some of the production at Giga Shanghai in order to effect some upgrades. It seems like that was delayed a couple of months, but better late than never. At the time, everyone was thinking that this was a sign that Tesla's secretive Project Highland was going to be seeing its debut in China. The Model 3 redesign project has been the subject of some intense scrutiny by the community since information about it leaked in late 2022. Prototypes have been spotted on the roads surrounding the Fremont factory in California for months now. Now, this doesn't mean that this shutdown confirms anything about Project Highland. However, there are a couple of other reasons Giga Shanghai could be going through some changes. The biggest was the subject of a large portion of Tesla's Investor Day presentation on March 1st. The team was very excited to present a new philosophy they were about to adopt across all their manufacturing sites. This represented a huge change in how they do everything from procuring materials all the way to the assembly of their products, something that would definitely require halting a whole line to make adjustments for. On top of that, Tesla is almost constantly making small tweaks to their vehicles. The Model 3 specifically has gone through a couple of minor changes so that they could be accepted for tax rebates and grants through the American Inflation Reduction Act. Tesla could be pushing those changes out to their other locations, and Shanghai could possibly need updates to do that. However, it's very likely this is all for Project Highland. Giga Shanghai is one of the most productive Tesla factories, operating in the one market that has the most competition for the company. Project Highland has seen a lot of time in development and could very well be close to being finalized. It all lines up a little too well for us to dismiss the idea that the first run of Project Highland could be in China. Whatever the case might be, the original Bloomberg reports said that the upgrades wouldn't take more than a few days to complete, and with Shanghai's history of speedy work, that's likely going to be the case unless the entire production line is being dismantled and then put back together again. So let's wait a week or so and see what sort of Model 3s roll off the Shanghai lines. Best of luck to the Tesla China team. On May 25th, images surfaced on Twitter showing some Model Ys shipping from Tesla's Fremont plant in California. Not unusual by any stretch, but on closer inspection, it seems that some of the new vehicles were equipped with hardware for self-driving tech. The Kilowatts, an EV review channel on YouTube, posted a series of images on their Twitter page showing the new models and comparing the differences between the older Hardware 3 and newer Hardware 4 models. It is admittedly difficult to spot the difference at first, but take a second to look over that camera lens and the material the device sits in. The alleged Hardware 4 model has a larger lens and sits at a slightly wider angle, and the material looks different. Some folks are suggesting the new material helps keep the camera clean, or maybe it's a tougher plastic, but we can't tell from the pictures alone. What we can tell from the pictures, though, is that these are the cameras designed to go along with the new Hardware 4 self-driving computers that Tesla debuted at their Investor Day event back in March. There was a lot of talk during that presentation about how much of an upgrade this new computer is over the older model, but the most important takeaway for us is the extra and updated camera support. Back in February, some specs of prototype Hardware 4 gear were leaked, which showed, among other things, that the new computer had 12 camera connectors. At the time, folks suspected that the newer model Tesla vehicles were going to be adding cameras to the front and rear bumpers, as that was a noted blind spot for FSD systems. That was before Investor Day swooped in and showed off all that amazing new tech, including the new FSD visualization system, which would be making use of new and improved cameras and the hardware for computer. And to go along with that, the codes for the new hardware have popped up in inventory codes, which is a more solid indication, but we likely wouldn't have known unless the new cameras had been spotted. So that's why we're thinking these Model Ys have the new computers in them, and honestly, it's not impossible. We know that Tesla has been preparing their newer vehicles for the hardware and software updates they told us about during Investor Day. There's been no reports of the newer tech giving better performance just yet, so it's not likely to have the software it needs to run at full capacity yet, especially since Tesla hasn't announced the upgraded hardware. But it probably won't be long. Tesla was really proud of their new tech in the presentations, so they're probably just waiting for something to show it off with before making it official. Project Juniper, maybe? Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up today if you liked it. That is so important for getting our content out to more people. If you enjoy the content, then you'd probably also enjoy our weekly newsletter, so sign up with the link down below at theteslaspace.com. A huge thank you to all of our Patreon supporters who are listed on the screen now. You help us make the best content we can, and we really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.